with the sad news about Gretzky and his dad there, gonna miss, just knowing that he's out there. I don't know. It's one of those weird things. There's certain people that, are in the world that you just feel better knowing that that person's in the world. And Walter was certainly one, especially as a kid growing up in Brantford. When we moved there, you would hear the stories about Walter. You know what I mean? They'd be down at the rink, and it's Wayne Gretzky's dad. And I think it was for a couple years after I moved out there, by grade 2 or 3 or something like that. Like I finally got to meet him. He came into the locker rooms during playoff time. It was house league. So really nothing to be super pumped about in terms of like show off, like my talents or nothing. No, not at all. But he went around and shook our hands in both teams, mind you, before the games. He hung around that day and just talked with the kids briefly in the locker room, and then you go around and shake all of our hands. And me and my buddy, as soon as we shook his hand, we were like, yo, we got to put that Gretzky magic on the stick. We got to put it on the stick, right? And we did like this, like crumble the fingers like on it, all around it, and get that Gretzky magic on the stick. No lie, dudes. I think I scored, it was either 3 or 4 goals. I think it was more than a hat trick. And I didn't score goals that year. Like that was the only time I scored, other than one game. I think I got 1 goal. I was really far down in goals, but that game was like my best game of the season, and it was because we just believed we had the Gretzky luck, the Gretzky magic, if you will. That's the kind of myth this man had growing up. So it was really cool to know that he was out there, and kind of what we were talking about before when we were saying that some of you guys would make great NHL coaches too, because you just understand the game. You don't have to be professional to understand this game. I think it's a lot simpler than people realize if they really pay attention. And when you can get down to the bare bones of what hockey is, you can really do damage. And I think that explains Wayne's career to a T. You didn't need to be the fastest, the strongest, have the hardest shot, be the most accurate. You could be good at all those things. You still have to be good. But here, understanding the game, what it's really all about, the nuts and bolts of the game, that's what made Wayne great. And if you read anything or listen to any interview that Wayne has done over the years, he will tell you it all comes from his dad. So you tell me how a man that never played professional hockey a day in his life, like Walter, was able to teach his son before he was even 10, or 15 or whatever, how to play the game or how to think about the game. And then Wayne just took that and ran with it, like what a genius Walter was. He had to have been. There's no way you teach a guy like Wayne the way that Wayne explains, unless he's lying, which I doubt he would, right? When Wayne talks about all the things that he learned from his dad, man, they're great stories. You got to read them. You got to hear them. I don't care. I mean, I had his autobiography when he was still playing for the Kings, because he did one back then in the 90s. So I read that. And you watch all the interviews on YouTube and everything like that. Watch as much as you can about Wayne, and you will understand Walter, because he learned so much from Walter. And I don't understand how a man who's a hockey dad was the most famous hockey dad to have never played the game, right? All the other hockey dads, it's like Ty Domi or the Kachucks, right? Their dad played. It makes sense. Nylander's dad played. Walter's dad didn't. Not professionally. He probably played somewhere in some industrial league, some sort of beer league back in the day. I guarantee the man probably. Well, I can't guarantee. But he understood the game so well. He taught the greatest player to ever play the game. Like, that's incredible. That's incredible. So the hockey community is going to miss him, man. And I know some of you guys are from like the Brantford area, or people in the Brantford area, and you've been around Wayne, or not Wayne, you've been around Walter, and you know what I'm talking about. You know the presence that he has, this aura of like hockey greatness, and yet he's just a normal dude. He was so nice and kind. He would talk to anybody that wanted to talk to him. Oh, here's another Walter story here for you. This was many years later, okay? Many years later. I'm on a beer league team as an adult, like in my late 20s. Might have even been early 30s. That's how recent it probably was. And one of the guys on our team travels for work. I don't even remember what he does. Doesn't matter to the story, okay? Travels for work, and he ended up in Brantford one day. And since he was in Brantford, he thought he would stop by the Gretzky house. He just wanted to see it, like from the road, right? So he drove, he found it, looked it up. They're not hiding where he lives. Walter's lived in the same house since Wayne lived there. It's there in Brantford. You can go see it right now. And then he drove down there and he was parked outside. All of a sudden, guys, Walter comes home. Drives right past our buddy, right? He drives right past him, goes home, gets out, and within a few minutes comes walking over to our friend's car, right? And he was just sitting there looking at the house all by himself. He had just come from his meeting that he had to do in town, right? And he was just chilling there. He was like, oh crap, like this is gonna be weird. He's gonna think I'm like a stalker. No, Walter walked up to our friend. He's like, hey, what are you doing here? Right? And he was just, I'm sorry, Mr. Gretzky. Like, we always call him Mr. Gretzky. You don't call him Walter. You know what I mean? Not to his face. You dare not. All right? It's always Mr. Gretzky. And it's, hey, Mr. Gretzky. Yeah, sorry. I'm not from here. I wanted to come by and I wanted to see the house, and that's all, And he was like, well, what? Do you want to come in? I got all the Wayne stuff downstairs. Do you want to come in? Everybody was like, what? Sure enough, never met our friend before in his life, and Mr. Gretzky walked this man in, took him down to the basement where all Wayne's memorabilia was. He's got signed jerseys galore, signed sticks, not just from Wayne, but all sorts of players, legendary players, all this signed stuff, all this merchandise that's signed. It's all down there. There's stuff that never got released because they were prototypes, still signed, down in Walter's basement. You know what I mean? And the best part was he was such a good soul, such a trusting individual, right? He took our friend down there and showed him around. And he got a phone call or something. He was like, why don't you just look around, man? I'll be right back. And he sauntered away upstairs, left him alone for like 15, 20 minutes. There's literally like thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of merchandise down there. Stuff like original cards that you could just pocket. All kinds of stuff. Misprints of stuff that are so rare because they would just give them to Wayne sometimes or whatever. Like all kinds of craziness, and they're just sitting there, and Walter just left him alone for like a good 15, 20 minutes. Right? Came back down when my buddy was done. Was like, hey, so what'd you think? You like it? It was pretty cool, right? And then saw him out. He was so proud of his son. He loved talking about Wayne. If anyone wanted to listen, if anyone wanted to see what it was all about, just come on in. He was so proud. And you got, man, like if you want to know how to make your kids successful in life, that's got to be number one. That's got to be number one. It's just being their biggest fan, no matter what they do. I really try to do that for my kids. I'm probably shouting down the basement, waking them up. So I'm contradicting myself here. But your kids, you gotta make them, you gotta be their biggest fan. That's the only way they got a shot, man. Because this world's tough enough, and you need someone in your corner. I don't know if there was a better hockey dad than Walter. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't know if there was a better hockey dad than Walter. The most supportive sounding guy, right? I'm sure every family's got tough spots, but it's just sad news. So that's how I feel, and I'm gonna miss knowing he's out there. And it's good to know we got still so many years with Wayne. Let's not waste them. Let's get Wayne back in the mainstream somehow. How is this not man in the media more, or how is he not a GM of a team? I know he was the coach of the Coyotes for a little while. Maybe he wasn't ready for that. I don't know, but let's get Wayne back out there, man. Because the Gretzky family needs to be, continue to be a force in hockey. I think it's just the best thing for hockey. And Wayne just saw his dad, you said, Cooks, just recently, back in Brantford. Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, do you know how many times Wayne was probably in my hometown and I didn't even know it? Because Brantford people don't want to upset the Gretzkys, man. You don't want to do that when you live there, right? Nobody's going to knock down his door all the time and seeing if Wayne's home during the summer or anything like that. People don't do that. People from Brantford, it's polite. Hello, Mr. Gretzky, and stuff like that. If you see him at the mall or at a Tim Hortons, and I've seen him at a Tim Hortons too. You know what I mean? And no one went up and hounded him, other than it's just if they were passing by. Hello, Mr. Gretzky. Oh, hello. You know what I mean? It was just cool that if you're a kid and you're like, oh, who's that? And your parents would be like, that's Wayne's dad. And you're like, whoa. You know what I mean? Whoa, that's Wayne's dad. It was just awesome. It was awesome. So, again, I wish I had something better than just water right here. But, in the spirit of the channel and everything like that, again, a little salute to the Gretzkys, okay?